This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
More Chumba Casino fan mail. Love this. It says, Dear Ryan, I love Chumba Casino. They're so much fun. I love the wild ride from the social slots to the slingo to jackpots quicker than a 6-time real spin. Everybody's finding their fun at Chumba Casino. Why don't you find out for yourself? Head to ChumbaCasino.com and enjoy hundreds of casino-style games for free with your welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So, Russ, being a human in general is just really hard. We go through so many tough times in our lives. The case I'm telling you today is about two people who went through an unimaginable situation and then were failed over and over by the system. But one of them miraculously made it out. This is the case of Sonia Jacobs and Jesse Tafero. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband true crime stories and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? It's Russ again.
Welcome back. Oh, sorry.
So welcome back to the most unprofessional professional podcast. We are back at the kitchen table. I got like 4 cans of beer in front of me this week.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
And a White Claw. I didn't know what I wanted, and I can't like get up and go to the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I hope all you guys are doing well out there. Omarion's out there. I hope you guys are hiding from Omarion. He's still out there trying to get you guys sick.
So when you say Omarion, you mean Omicron. But last week...
The new COVID, Omarion.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's calling Omarion. Last week, I sang the beginning of the song Icebox. And we got a bunch of messages because I didn't say icebox. So this is my Jess messed up. Womp, womp, womp. I said there's an ice cube. Actually, you said ice cube. And then I sang the song with Ice Cube.
So will you sing anything I say?
Yes.
Let's play that game.
And we got a bunch of messages and comments reminding us, old folks, that it's not Ice Cube, it's Icebox.
Well, shout out to all the B2K fans that listen to us, I didn't realize that we had the largest demographic of Omarion fans out there.
Did.
Like, you guys are all sideways moonwalking through your living room right now. Saying, it's not Ice Cube.
Sideways moonwalking.
Like, what is that? You're probably still wearing pants that are too big.
That's so funny. I can do that move, the sideways moonwalk. I can do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think I've seen you do it.
I can.
I can't do it, but I'll do a bootleg moonwalk. But if I'm a moonwalk, it's only the Michael Jackson because that's the one I respect.
True. Definitely. Well, so that was me telling you guys, I messed up, whatever. This podcast, we don't re-record things. because I can't. Because Russ only has the attention span to listen to the story once. So it's a one-shot deal. And if I mess up, I got to tell you the next time. Sorry for messing up.
Or like, it's not even like a real mess up. Jess was like, you need a Russ messed up. You said Ice Cube. And first of all, I'm glad I didn't know. Like, I legitimately thought that was it. But I'm glad I didn't know what his song was. But I was convinced I did. Like, I know everything. But I guess not. There's between cubes and boxes.
Well, I mean, he was pretty big back in the day when we were kids. So, I don't know.
Whatever, he's washed.
Well, yeah.
He's like 5'2". Get him out of here. Get off our podcast, Omarion, and stop getting people sick.
Well, we have a ton of new patrons. So thank you guys so much for joining the Patreon. We do so much stuff over there. Once a month, we do a True Crime and Chill episode. We have some other bonus content. Go check it out if you're interested. And Russ has the patron shout outs, and it's a long list, and you're going to be out of breath. You might have to take a few breaths throughout this list.
Yeah, this one is...
It's a record.
This one's a record, man. You guys are testing my reading skills, but joke's on you guys, because I did Hooked on Phonics as a kid, and it worked for me. So this week's patrons are... It's going to be a bit. Hannah, Lucy, Allie, Nicole, Lauren, Sarah, Brandy, Elizabeth, Sabrina, Demi, Julia, Betsy, Teresa, Amber, Natalie, Kenzie, Benicia, Sherry, Leah. Hold on, I'll just cheers to that half. It was really long. Cheers to that half. Let me take a sip. I'm getting dry over here.
You're getting
Hold
parched. Dry mouth.
I'm drinking a Bronx Brewery World Gone Hazy. Really good beer. I think Leah was the last one, right?
Yeah.
So Fallon, Priscilla, Leanne, Connie, Allison, Shay, Veery, Skin Lab Aesthetics, Kayla, Madison, Maria, Tanisha, Alexander, Callum, Nathan, Lindsay, Jalen, Crystal, Morgan, Aubrey, and Denna. So wait, I have another beer. Wait, I'll cheers later because I don't want to have another open one. But cheers to you guys. Thank you very much.
Yes, all the new patrons. Thank you guys so much. We do a lot of fun stuff, and we really appreciate you guys supporting us. And I don't know, we just love it. It's very humbling.
There's a lot of bonus episodes over there, probably like 15 or so. I had a friend that hit me up who joined the Patreon, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm listening to the episode." Like the most recent one, he was like, oh, and then he didn't know there were like so many more. So you could download like a RSS feed.
Yeah.
Just look it up. There's like a lot of content over there. If you have any questions, hit us up on the gram.
Yeah, hit us up.
We'll send you the link how to do it. But just Google it, guys. You got Google too. That's where we found the RSS link thing.
True. Yep. And it integrates with Apple and other podcast apps, not Spotify, but other ones for like Android users and stuff. All right. Your other job is... the review of the week.
So this is the review of the week. You guys throw reviews on the Apple podcast thingy. And then I read the good ones. Well, I read the good one of the week, and occasionally I'll read two. And the funnier it is, the more likely it is that I'll read it.
That's true. Yeah.
So this week is from Jonesy Lee. It's entertaining, 5 stars. In quotation marks. My brain skips sometimes. It's like a blank. It's all right. So my brain just skipped there. I'll try reading that again. Jeez Louise. It's my own words. My brain skips sometime. It's like a scratch CD. The Bronx accent makes everything better. Y'all are so wonderful. Top podcast out there! ! I wear my sweater everywhere. Y'all are my fave.
Aw, that's nice. Makes everything better.
So thanks, Jonesy.
I'm sure she didn't spell it B-E-T-T-A.
Are you mocking me?
No, I love your accent. I love it.
Makes everything better.
I love it. I think it's so cute. And we both wear our sweaters all the time, too. You're actually wearing your True Crime and Chill sweater right now.
That's the OG shirt. We got the new ones, the Wife of Crime beer and wine ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I wear mine, but if I have it on, I'll never tell anyone I have a podcast because I don't want to be the corn wearing his own merch. I told Kate that on Instagram. She's like, I wear mine. I was like, well, I'm not wearing mine. I wear mine.
You wear it all the time.
I wear mine all the time. It's a dope design.
Yeah.
But I won't tell any. Like, who wears their own merch? That's like a football player wearing their own jersey outside. Like, And you're just a corn. So I guess I am a corn.
You are
like
a corn because you're actually doing it.
And a corn is like a corny person for you new people.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, we call them corns.
Oh my God. So I posted the video of me trying to get out of the zip ties that you put me in. By the way, they were very tight.
I put her in those because she was being really annoying and I was
No,
going to lock her in the
didn't.
room. I was like, I'm tired. She keeps trying to tell me what to do. Like, I haven't lived almost 30 years without her before I met her.
We woke up one day and the other day we were just like sitting there and I was like, I wonder if I could actually get away from someone trying to kidnap me because we always talk about stay fit, stay alive. So I thought to myself, could I actually get away from someone? So I had Russ grab me from behind and I tried to think of ways I could escape. And then I was like, you know what? Put me in some zip ties. Let's see if I can get out of it. We watched all these YouTube videos and it was an epic fail. Like I totally failed. And then it made me realize.
Oh, she would have woke up dead.
That
she had no chance. She was like, it's pinching my skin.
It hurt.
Yeah, because a kidnapper would definitely be like, I'm putting these on, but I'm going to make sure that your delicate skin is okay.
Well,
while you're in the back of a van next to a rusty hacksaw.
Well, I decided I need to get my shit together because I would have died. So I'm going to be doing this app. It's called C25K, and I've done it in the past. Me and Russ actually did it a few years ago, but I'm starting it this week, and it's for beginners. It's for beginner runners.
This is not an advertisement. They didn't pay us for this.
No, it's not an advertisement at all, but it's for beginners. So if you're somebody who is already a runner, it's going to be too slow for you. But if you're someone who is trying to start getting in shape or, wants to just get a little healthier, you can join me on this journey. It's 8 weeks long. It's a free app called C25K. And it literally teaches you how to run 3 miles in 30 minutes over the course of 8 weeks. And you only do it 3 times a week. And it starts off super duper easy and slow. And then you progressively get better and better until by the end of it, you're running 3 miles in 30 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do for the next 8 weeks.
It's very doable. She's done it before and I've done it. And
yeah,
it literally, because I'm more of like a sprinter type of fella, but I get tired. And now, I could run miles. I mean, I haven't done it in a little while because work's been sucky.
Yeah.
But
so if you want to join me, I'll post once a week on there and you guys can follow along, comment on the post.
It's only 3 times a week though, right?
Yeah. It's only 3 times a week over 8 weeks.
And it's only a half hour 3 times a week. So almost everyone has a half hour. I guarantee everyone here, a half hour a day is at least on social media. That's a half hour less on social media because Jess's old ass has recently found TikTok. She hasn't started dancing yet. In my mind, if I go in her phone, she's on TikTok a lot now, and she's way too old. She probably lied about her age to get on there.
No, I did. It's for wife of crime.
So I guarantee if I go in her phone probably has videos of her doing those stupid dances, like propped up when I'm not here. Guarantee.
No, but I think TikTok has some really funny videos. But anyway, so I'm going to do that. You guys can join me if you're interested. I'm going to post the first one this week. And yeah, that's it. So we can do our Stay Fit, Stay Alive challenge. That's what I'm going to call it.
Hashtag don't wake up dead. Hashtag stay fit, stay alive.
Yes.
Because if you ain't fit, you have a higher chance of waking up dead. Because someone once gave us a 1-star because I said stay fit, stay alive.
Yes, we did. From Diddy Nitty. I'll never forget.
Yo, I'll never forget that.
She wants to kill us. So anyway, that is our stuff.
Or hashtag stay fat, don't get kidnapped. You could.
You don't have to join the challenge. It's all a personal choice. But I'm doing it. And if you want some motivation, someone to do it with me. There we go. Okay. So during our most recent True Crime and Chill episode on the Patreon, we covered Times Square Killer. It was really good. We did it in 3 parts. A lot of people liked it. During one of the episodes, we were talking about defense attorneys and how you don't understand or agree that defense attorneys can take on a case where they're defending a piece of shit person or a bad person.
Not everyone deserves to be defended depending on the crime, to me.
I understand.
Especially like if you've been caught and you admitted to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you killed kids or anything like that or puppies.
Definitely. Well, during this convo, I said, yes, I understand and I agree with you, but they're essential and we need them because there are so many innocent people who get accused of crimes. And that conversation that we had, it reminded me of a case that I will never, ever forget. So as I've spoken about before, I love the podcast Wrongful Conviction with Jason Flom. It's one of my favorite podcasts of all time. I've been listening to it since 2016.
Flom is my favorite dessert.
No, it's Flom. F-L-O-M, not flan.
Flong.
No, Flom.
Jason Flong. You're a sweet fella.
Anyway. So I've been listening to this podcast for years. And even though it simultaneously usually makes me incredibly angry to listen to it, I've also learned a lot. Because there's a lot of things you don't realize that happens to innocent people in these types of situations. So the first time I heard this particular case that I'm telling you today, this was back in 2016, and I remember hearing it and I was in utter shock. Like, it impacted me so much. I remember exactly where I was when I was listening to it. I had no idea something like this could happen to somebody. And I've since learned that sadly there are thousands of wrongful convictions, and we've covered a few on the podcast. And they're just always devastating. But this,
I wonder how many people enter a wrongful conviction, like an Innocence Project thing, and fool the Innocence Project people, and they're actually guilty. Like, there's definitely a few that slip through the cracks, the same way some innocent people end up in jail.
Yes, however, Innocence Projects do not always help innocent people. They help people who should not be convicted. There's a difference there and a distinction to be made.
Oh, I don't like that, because sometimes I know you're guilty even though there's not enough evidence, but I know.
Exactly.
Like Adnan.
So you firmly believe Adnan is guilty.
But there's not enough.
It is subject to debate. A lot of people disagree with you. But
that
he
means you're
doesn't
wrong.
have enough evidence for him to be in jail.
I completely agree. I think he did it, but there's not enough evidence for him to be in jail.
So the Innocence Projects obviously help innocent people, but they also help people who don't have enough evidence to be placed in jail or on death row. Sometimes they'll just help them get off death row and get a life sentence.
Huh.
All right. So Sonny Jacobs and Jesse Tafero were failed by everyone, from cops to the judge to the lawyers to the jury. They were literally failed every step of the way. But Sonny came out the other side, stronger and more resilient than ever. She's truly inspiring and just a wonderful woman. And this story is obviously crazy, but something that when you listen to it, you're like, all right, if this lady can come out and be as positive and as beautiful and wonderful as she is at the end, I can get through anything.
Oh, I'd be petty as a motherfucker if I was wrongfully convicted. I'm roasting the judge. I'm doing all kind of stuff.
Well, she's not. And that's what makes her a wonderful soul. So this is the case of Sonny Jacobs and Jesse Tafero. Are you ready?
Yes.
What?
I hate when people come out and be nice after being treated like crap. You need to treat someone like crap back. You need to double the crap and drop it on their head.
Sometimes you just need peace. And that's what she needed. She needed to just find peace.
Or revenge.
She didn't want revenge. And that's what let's just listen to the story. It's really inspiring.
Okay.
So in 1976, Sonia Sonny Jacobs was 27 years old. She was a mother of 2. Her son was 9 and her daughter was 10 months old. She was originally from North Carolina, and Sonny says that her and her husband, Jesse Tafero, they were self-described hippies. They were artists, vegetarians, and firmly believe in creating and spreading peace and love.
No showers, no deodorant.
Not like that. They were just really loving, sweet people who just wanted to spread peace and love.
Tie-dye shirts, probably. That means peace.
So Jesse had a hard time finding work in North Carolina, and he decided to go to Florida to work for someone he knew. There was a guy who was having, it was like a temporary construction job, and he knew he could go down there, make some money, and then come back to North Carolina. So the plan was that Sonny and the two children would drive down to Florida at the end of this job and pick him up, and they would all drive back to North Carolina together. On the day they were planning to leave Florida to return home to North Carolina, their car breaks down. So around 7 a.m. the next morning, Sonny, Jesse, and the kids get a ride from one of the guys he was working with on the job, and his name was Walter Rhodes. So the plan was they were going to get this ride with Walter. He was going to take them to like a hotel or something to stay in temporarily until their car was fixed.
What year was this?
1976.
Okay, I was just thinking because like nowadays cars don't break down as much. So I was thinking like it had to be
Older.
like newer cars just are better.
Yeah.
Even if you treat them like crap, they kind of run a long time.
Yeah, this was the 70s. So Sonny says they all piled into Walter's car and started driving. And Walter eventually pulls over to a rest stop on the side of the highway. Jesse was in the front seat. Sonny and the kids were in the back. And Sonny says her and her kids fell asleep because it's 7 a.m. They were really tired and they fell asleep in the back of the car. All of a sudden, Sonny was woken up when she hears a knock on the window. According to police, they were doing a routine check of the rest area. So she gets a knock on the window from a cop. And apparently they were routinely checking this rest area. And police say when they walked up to the car, they saw a handgun on the floor between Walter, the driver's, feet. And they made everyone get out of the car.
Walter is the friend that picked them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they pulled Walter out of the car. He's in the front seat. They pulled Jesse out of the car. He's in the passenger seat. They left Sonny and the kids in the back, but they asked for her ID. And they asked for everyone's ID. So they ran the plates and the IDs, and they find out that Walter is on parole. And as soon as they find this out and see that he's carrying a gun, the two cops pull guns on him, and they tell everyone they need to freeze. One of the cops says, if anyone moves, you're getting shot. And then according to Sonny, the next thing she knew, shots were being fired. She says her first instinct was to cover her kids. So she took her 9-year-old son, threw him on the floor of the car, and then took the baby in her arms and got on top of her son to cover both of her kids.
The mother's instinct to sacrifice their life for a child is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you also hear those stories of the mothers that like could lift a car off of their kid or something. I don't know if they're true, but might be an urban legend. But
yeah,
like the mother's instincts.
It's their baby. Yeah, I mean, you created this being. You do everything to protect them.
That's crazy.
So she jumped on top of her kids to shield them from the bullets. She said this went on for what felt like several minutes. And then all of a sudden, everything got totally quiet. At first, Sonny thought she was dead. When she realized she was alive, she looked up to see her husband out the window staring, just standing there staring. She then also saw Walter, the driver, frantically walking around the car, clearly panicking.
Wait, so all those shots, all these people are all right. The husband went, where'd he go? He left for a second.
No, the husband's just standing there staring.
Why'd he get out the car?
The cops made him get out the car.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
So she sees her husband standing there. She sees Walter frantically walking around the car. And he's clearly panicking. He then holds a gun to her husband and orders him to get into the cop car.
Wait, so this guy, Walter, killed the cops?
Well, you're about to find that out, yes.
Holy moly.
So Walter orders Jesse at gunpoint to get in the police car. And then he opens the back door and orders Sonny and the kids to get out, and he has a gun on them. As soon as her son, Eric, gets out of the car, he slips and falls. So Sonny picks him up and realizes he slipped on a puddle of blood. And that's when she realizes the cops are dead. She looks around and sees the blood everywhere and these cops dead on the ground.
And the cops had the guns out first, so he took out the gun, got them both. They didn't even shoot Walter.
They didn't. I mean, they were firing shots, but they didn't shoot him.
Wow, you think they got the aim because they're like trains and stuff.
Yeah.
I would have told Walter after he said he'd like put the gun on me, like, nah, it's all good, Walter. I don't need to ride anymore. We're out of here. Go ahead.
Well, now he has them at gunpoint, and he forces them into the police car. So Sonny and the kids get in the back of the police car, and Jesse gets in the front seat, and Walter frantically speeds off down the highway. So they're speeding down the highway, And then Walter gets off this exit because he's trying to find another car to get into because he's driving a police car at this point.
He's Grand Theft Auto. This dude has 5 stars right now.
Yeah.
The helicopters are about to come.
So
all my gamers know what I'm talking about.
Well, they're trying to find a car to get into. So they see an old man standing at his mailbox. And Walter pulls up next to him and holds the old man at gunpoint now and orders everyone to get into the old man's car. He steals the old man's car, and it's still a very conspicuous vehicle because it ends up being an orange Cadillac, right?
He stole a pimp's car.
So he steals this orange Cadillac. They all pile into it, and he takes the old man now as another hostage. So he has the old man, the 2 kids, Sonny and Jesse, all as hostages in this Cadillac, and he speeds off.
At this point, he's outnumbered. They should jump his ass. And if he's driving,
I think that, not everybody's like that.
Yeah, but
he has a gun. He shot cops. They're scared, and it's understandable. And there's 2 children. There's a baby, 10 months old, and a 9-year-old little boy.
I got my little pocket knife. I would have got him right in the neck. It would have been over.
So they all get into this car, and he speeds off. But now it's like 8:30 in the morning, which means it's rush hour traffic. They get on the highway, and they're stuck in traffic. And they're driving, but now Sonny says she hears helicopters above, and she starts saying, "Oh my God, thank God.
I called it.
Yeah, thank God they're here to save us. I'm going to get out of this situation, my poor children." Now, this is an important thing to note. The wife of the old man, she saw the entire thing happen. She called the cops from her inside her house after watching out the window. So you need to understand something. The cops knew that there was a man holding people at gunpoint. He knew that there was a woman and 2 children in the car because the old man's wife told them. So now cops, they've organized, they've set up a roadblock down the highway.
That's probably why there's traffic.
Well, it's also rush hour, yeah. So Walter decides to try to avoid the roadblock and makes a sharp left. So all the police standing in the roadblock with their rifles, as soon as he turns, they all open fire on the car. Seriously. And eventually the car runs into a tractor trailer.
Because cops, they get super angry when anything is done towards another cop. They'll shut a city down.
Exactly. So when this happens, she jumps on top of her kids again. She throws her son on the floor. She takes her baby on her chest and gets on top of her son again and tries to shield her kids. Luckily, the only person who was shot was Walter, the driver, but he wasn't killed.
He
was shot in the leg.
You know what this shows me?
What?
So this lady has been, and her husband and the kids have been in cars that have been shot up 2 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't been shot. You know what the only explanation for this is?
What?
We're in a simulation.
No, this is just...
Bro, it's part of the computer program.
Well, I don't know if she would agree with that. So now the only person injured was Walter, the driver. Miraculously, the old man wasn't injured, Jesse or the kids or Sonny. No one else had any injuries. So they take the old man out of the car right away, and they take him over to an ambulance to get checked out. They then take Walter, because he was actually shot, over to an ambulance. And now Jesse and Sonny and the kids are left in the car. They pull Jesse out and they handcuff him right away. And then he's standing there handcuffed with his hands, cuffed behind his back. And Sonny and the kids are standing next to him. And then out of the crowd of police, one cop runs through the crowd with the butt of his gun in the air and beats Jesse on the head, knocking him to the floor.
Wow.
He's handcuffed. Jesse looks up at Sonny and says, "You need to get away from me. They're going to kill me."
Wow. That's bullshit.
So now all the cops are pointing their guns at Sonny now, and she's trying to explain everything. They take her kids. They take her kids to, paramedics and cops because CPS has to get involved because there's children endangered. So her kids are now taken away from her. And she's standing there trying to explain what happened, but no one will listen to her. Sonny says that they now put them in the back of a cop car and they drive the 2 of them down these railroad tracks to a very isolated area.
Like they're going to assassinate them.
Yes. The cops get out of the car, and there's like 4 of them because there were multiple cars, you know. The cops get out of the car, there's 4 of them, and they're all arguing. Do we take them in or do we kill them right here and claim they were trying to get away?
This is why body cameras are needed. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why it's controversial. It is a very controversial thing, but I feel like body cameras are needed because situations like this, but I also think body cameras are also needed to protect the good cops that are accused of things.
I agree.
Wouldn't it protect everyone?
Yeah.
And like, you know, just don't have it on when you go and pee or poop.
Yeah, I think it would protect everybody too. It is a very controversial thing, but I don't understand, like, you know, why it's controversial when it could literally protect
both sides.
Both sides, yeah. I don't get it either.
And
it's just a very hyped up issue.
It's whack to me that we even say both sides. Like, we should all be on the side together, trying to make sure everyone is just safe and no one's hurting no one or stealing anyone's property or something like that.
100%. So Sunny says that, you know, they're outside arguing, and she said this is the scariest moment of her life because at this point she's handcuffed and she has 4 men who are in control of if she lives or dies.
And you can't run because if you run, then they're going to shoot you.
Absolutely. And she's in the back of a cop car. She can't get out anyway.
Oh.
So they ended up taking them into custody. Her children were eventually given to her parents. Thank God. Her parents are close and they could take the kids. And so the kids were living with their grandparents at this point. And they take her into custody. And in the interrogation room, they kept asking Sunny what happened. And she kept saying, I really don't know how it started. I was asleep in the back of a car. I woke up. And then all of a sudden, people were shooting each other. I was just trying to protect my kids. That's the only thing I was thinking about at the time, is how to protect my kids. And they didn't believe her. She kept repeating the statement, you're trying to get me to tell you something that isn't true. And every time she would say that, they would stop the recording and start a new recording.
Wow.
And start the interrogation over again. So while they were being interrogated, Walter Rhodes was in the hospital. Walter was the driver.
Oh, if he gets off.
So he was in the hospital. And this man has done time before. And he knew he was violating his parole. So he knew his only option to save his own ass, because he was going to go obviously get the death penalty because he killed 2 cops, was that he needed to call the prosecutor and make a deal. So he did. He called the prosecutor. And at this time, the prosecutor I think this was Broward County, Florida, he was up for district attorney. He was running for district attorney in the upcoming year. So this was an opportunity for him to get 3 convictions instead of 1. So he made a deal with Rhodes, and he said, I'll offer you a plea. 3 consecutive life sentences in exchange for your testimony against Jesse and Sunny. He was even given a polygraph, and apparently he passed it. And so he got the deal.
Everyone knows polygraphs are bullshit. Even if you're innocent and they say take a polygraph, you say, Russ the profiler told me that polygraphs are bullshit. I'd like to speak to my lawyer. And then you say, #vote for Russ.
I'm sure they're going to say that when they're in an interrogation room being accused of a crime.
And then when someone sneaks a phone in their butt and you're in jail, use the phone, hit us up on the gram, and we'll expose the whole story on Instagram for you.
Okay.
We'll go viral.
So Sunny says, even then, she couldn't believe that this could happen to her. Up until this point, she had faith in our justice system. She was also, like I said, one of these like self-described hippies. And when you hear her talk on the podcast, Wrongful Conviction, she says like, no one would ever in a million years think that I would be somebody who would commit a crime. I don't even eat animals because I love animals. I'm a vegetarian because I don't like the idea of anything or anyone being hurt. Like, I'm the least likely person to hurt someone.
Is there like an alternate side of this story where people think she actually did it?
No.
No, so it's just like known.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I mean, you'll hear.
Because a lot of times every story has like a little bit of conspiracy somewhere.
No, there's no conspiracy with this one. So she just thought, you know what? No one's going to believe that a guy would take 3 life sentences. And, you know, they're not going to believe that. An innocent person doesn't do that. So they're not going to believe him. And she really had faith that she was going to get out.
Oh, to be naive.
But that's not what happened. Jesse's trial was first. He was tried and sentenced to death in 4 days. Sonny's trial lasted 2 weeks. According to Sonny, because this was a capital case, they were all assigned attorneys. So when you're in a capital murder case, which is where you're facing the death penalty, you don't get assigned a public defender, right? You're actually assigned an attorney who is like a defense attorney who acts as a public defender.
But a public defender is an attorney.
Yes, they're a defense attorney, but these people actually own their own defense firms.
Okay.
But they come in and act as a public defender for you because you can't afford them.
So their suits fit. I make fun of public defenders more than anyone because I've been represented by them. They're very nice people. They just have very bad choices in clothes and haircuts. And if they were just on an episode of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, they would look like top-notch attorneys that could get OJ off.
I didn't mean it like that. I meant like they have their own firm and a ton of money and they get paid a lot of money, these defense attorneys. But in situations where it's a capital murder case, they were assigned a defense attorney who owns their own firm versus someone who works for the public defender's office.
So someone who might be seen as more successful.
Yes.
You guys already know because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com, wifeofcrime1 for 15% off your first order. Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you know you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. But, because of this, they didn't try as hard because they're doing it for free. They're not getting paid. They're getting paid by the state. They're not getting paid what someone would pay them if you hired them to defend you.
Isn't it optional to take the case, though?
I don't know all the, ins and outs of how it works, but this is what she said.
It's not like
when she was telling
duty.
her story. So.
Well, like jury duty, you have to do it, except if you throw the mail away.
I don't know.
I don't throw my mail away. I try to go to jury duty every time, people.
Yeah, I bet. So that's Sonny's words, though. That's what she claims, that she feels like they didn't work very hard for her because she couldn't afford to pay them. Her lawyer actually told her during the trial, we're not going to put up a defense. Because
I know what he said.
He said, we're not going to put up a defense.
He said, if you give me some cheddar, I'll be a little better.
That's not what he said. He said, we're not going to put up a defense because there's literally nothing against you. And not putting up a defense gives me a better position in the closing arguments.
All good lawyers rhyme. Ask Johnny Cochran. That's how OJ got off. What was the line?
Yes, I know.
Say it.
If the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, but you didn't even say it with any conviction.
Sorry.
You said it as a question. You have to tell people what to do. OJ would have been dead.
Yeah, probably. So he told her this. He said, it puts me in a better position for the closing arguments. And she believed him because he's a lawyer. She's like, okay, if that's what you say, like, that's fine. You know how to do this. I don't. Her parents offered to mortgage their home to hire a defense attorney.
Yeah.
And she said no.
Oof.
Because in her mind, she goes, guys, I'm innocent. Like, I didn't do any of this. I was just protecting my kids. The jury's going to see it. It'll be fine. I don't want you to mortgage your house for this.
I might have thought the same thing, but then now that I do these podcasts, I'm doing it a while, you realize just stuff happens that you would never think that's going to happen.
Exactly. So during the second week of Sonny's trial, the jury was asking a lot of questions. They didn't believe that Sonny played a part in this crime. They didn't believe the actual killer, Walter Rhodes, because he agreed to 3 consecutive life sentences. So they didn't really, they knew something was going on. So the prosecutor went to the jail and he decided to get a jailhouse snitch. There was a woman who was in the county jail with Sonny at the time while she was going through her trial, who was there for drug charges. And the prosecutor went to this woman and said, if you snitch on her, he didn't say those exact words, but he said, if you say that Sonny Jacobs told you she did it, I'll get you out of jail tomorrow and all your charges will be dropped.
Oh, that makes me so angry. I think that lawyer should face any lawyer that knowingly tries to convict a person that's innocent and they know so they could get their own benefit and gain. Mm-hmm. They should face all the jail time that person faced. Like, she got convicted to whatever. Obviously, she's going to get convicted, I know. Mm-hmm. Find him, the Herb lawyer, and
prosecutor, yeah,
send him to jail for her whole term.
Well, it's going to make you even more mad because he definitely doesn't go to jail.
And also, when I'm president of something, and I probably won't be, but I won't run by hashtag vote for Russ if I do, there's jailhouse snitches are bullshit.
They are,
because if you don't know I just went in there and out of coincidence, I told you all these crimes I did before I was even convicted.
Yeah.
Knowing that this crackhead that's picking her scabs next to me laying in bed would say anything just to get off.
Well, that's the thing. Like, jailhouse snitches have been used so many times to convict people, and everybody knows that it's just not reliable. Like, everyone knows this, but this is 1976. You have to remember the context and the time that it was. 1976, jailhouse snitches were used a lot.
I might just have to fix the world. I've been laying back in the cut. Hashtag Russ saved the world. It just might have to happen. I'm going to come out on stage like a Michael Jackson song, like We Are the World. We're going to do our hands together in the air. Lighters up. Lighters up, bro. We are the world. Let's fix this. But also, people hate Michael Jackson, but just separate him from his music.
Exactly. So the jury still wasn't convinced of this. And they kept asking for her to have a lesser charge, like accomplice to a crime or something like that. But nothing changed.
I have another question. So there's only one gun.
Mm-hmm.
How could all 3 people be convicted of murdering the person if there's only one gun? Did they pass it to each other? You shoot now. You take one shot. You take one shot. That doesn't make sense. There's only one gun.
I don't know all the details of how the prosecutor swung it, but the jury clearly wasn't convinced. I mean, Jesse was tried separately and his jury was convinced because they convicted him to death in 4 days. Hers lasted 2 weeks, and the jury brought up a lot of questions. So now,
this one's getting me riled up.
Yeah, this story is nuts. It gets even crazier. So closing arguments happened, and the jury had to decide Sonny's fate. The judge in the case was a former highway patrol officer. They asked him to recuse himself from the case because He couldn't possibly be unbiased in this case of killing 2 officers. He was a former highway patrol officer, but he would not step down. Another thing worth noting about him is that his nickname was Maximum Dan. And he had a tiny little electric chair that sat on his desk next to his goblet thing, whatever it's called. What's
tiny, like his penis.
Like a tiny little electric chair, and it used to go zip, zip, zip. He would push a button and it would zip, zip.
What? During the case?
During the case.
I think they should hit him in the head with that chair.
It was the result of the judge explaining to the jurors that Sonny put up no defense, and the jurors felt pressure to convict her of guilt. So they had to convict her of guilt because she didn't put up a defense. And the judge told them, like, she didn't defend herself. There's literally no question. You have to convict her. And they did. So now it's time for her to be sentenced. In the trial, Sonny was being sentenced by the jury, right? So there was one juror, and she made a point during the podcast when you hear her talk about this. She says, this just proves that one person can make a difference, because one juror refused to sentence her to the death penalty. He said, no, I don't even believe that she actually did this. I'm definitely not sentencing her to death. And he wouldn't. And it caused the jury to have to deliberate over and over and over and over. Finally, they sentenced her to life in prison. But there's a rule called judicial override. And this principle of judicial override at the time was only legal in 3 states. Now it's only legal in 1 state. And the 1 state...
Texas
no,
or Florida.
Alabama.
Huh.
So with judicial override, the judge can actually step in and change the sentence, despite what the jury says. So the judge said, no, she's being sentenced to death. And he sentenced her to death anyway.
Wow. In the words of Kanye West, no one man should have all that power.
I know. It's crazy.
I never thought I would quote Kanye. Or maybe so. I quote a lot of rappers.
So at this point, there was no death row for women. Sonny became the only woman sentenced to death in the entire United States at the time. The only woman. They didn't know what to do with her. So they cleared out a building. So in the jail, they cleared out an entire building because she's the only woman on death row.
Oh, snap.
They couldn't put her with the male inmates on death row. So they cleared out a whole building that was just being used for storage. And she was the only person in that building, completely alone. She was placed there in solitary confinement 24 hours a day with 0 outside time. No outside time at all. And she remained in solitary with a Bible, a law book, a toilet, and a mattress for 5 years.
Do death row inmates, are they allowed to have visitors? Like a regular person?
I don't know.
I'll look it up.
But they usually, I think, get 1 hour of outside time.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew they get the outside time. Like, I've watched some documentaries that I've been forced to without me, what do they call that? Not without your will or something like that.
Against your will?
Against my will. I've been held hostage, been forced to watch documentaries that I didn't like.
So, she had to stay in this little tiny cell with 0 outside time for 5 years, Russ. That's an insane amount of time. 24 hours a day for 5 years. So she actually has a TED Talk, and I'll post it. Her TED Talk is so good. It's like 15 minutes long. And in the TED Talk...
Breaking news.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, death row inmates are permitted to have visitors with family or friends that are on their list.
But not when they're in solitary confinement.
Oh.
So she was placed in solitary confinement for 5 years. No visitors. Nothing.
Wow.
No one was allowed to talk to her.
But why no visitors for her? As opposed to other inmates, other death row inmates, whether they're innocent or guilty, which I guess most are guilty there. The majority, you would like to think that, everyone's not fucked over.
Mm-hmm.
But I lost. What was I saying?
Why was she not allowed to have visitors? I don't know.
Yeah, because if other death row inmates are there, they've been convicted for terrible things. Obviously, whoever's there has been convicted for killing other people.
Yeah, I don't know.
But maybe no one in the whole place did. I don't know.
But like I was saying, she has this TED Talk that you can watch. It's like 15 minutes long. And in the TED Talk, she actually goes into more about her time in prison and like what she did with this time. And during this 5 years, she said at first, she literally all she did all day was pace back and forth for the first month, like couple months. She's just pacing and thinking and pacing and thinking. Like she started driving herself a little crazy. Then she decided she's not a Christian, but there was a Bible there. And she decided, okay, well, I'll look at it. Let me read it. So she started looking through it, and she said she did gain some wisdom from it because even though she's not a Christian, like she still appreciates some of the things that are taught in there. So she started reading some things and getting some quotes. And one day, she just opened it to a random page, and there was a Bible verse. And I don't know what the Bible verse was, but the Bible verse pretty much said, they can hold you hostage, but they can't take away your inner peace and your love. And it kind of stuck out to her, and she was like, you know what? That's true. Like, all I have is what's inside of me at this point. I have nothing. I've lost everything. My children, everything. Even though they own my body, I need to protect my mind. So what she decided to do was focus on yoga and meditation. And so for 5 years...
I didn't know yoga was out in 1976.
Oh, yeah. It's been out for hundreds of years. So she did yoga and meditation every single day. And she brought herself into a place of inner peace. And she says that this is the one thing that saved her sanity.
I bet there's, even though like if we don't believe in a religion, there's a lot of lessons that could be learned from not even just the Bible, like all religions. Just like be open-minded. There's probably good lessons because these lessons are from people's 1,000 years ago or whatever, you know. A lot has been going on before us. They may not know how to get the most followers on social media, but they can have some good morals.
Well, my good friend growing up, I was raised in Baltimore, and one of my friends growing up was Muslim, and I read the Quran with her, and I've read the Quran, and there's you can get stuff out of any religious text. There's all kinds of great lessons in all types of things. You just have to look for it.
Yeah, like
and
even
apply
if you don't
it.
believe a religion, there's just probably good lessons to be learned.
So finally, after 5 years, her first appeal comes up. At this appeal, they see that the judge changed the sentence without any written explanation. So they were able to change her sentence from death to life. And this was huge.
Different prison now. You get to see people.
Yes, she got to be placed in Gen Pop. And this was huge for her. She went 5 years in total isolation. And she was like a happy, social person. So for her, this was a huge deal. She said she was so happy to see the sun, to talk to people.
Wow.
She was like, I got to sit next to people and eat. Like, she's like, I didn't even realize how important that was. To just like share a meal with somebody and talk to them.
And she doesn't have one of those convictions that'll like they'll beat her up. But according to her charges, she killed a cop, so they ain't gonna mess with her.
Yeah, no one messed with her. They actually all loved her. She became like very popular in prison as like someone that everyone really liked. But the thing that made her incredibly happy, even beyond all that, was that she got to have visitation from her parents and her children. So 1 year after she got placed into the general population, her parents took a trip to Vegas. And on the way to Vegas, their plane crashed and they both died.
I hate airplanes.
So she now lost her parents, and now she's lost her children because her children are orphans now and they got placed in the system.
Oh, man.
So over the next 7 years...
I wonder how old the kids were when they got placed in there.
The daughter, I think she was like 6 or 7, because the daughter is on the podcast episode as well. She talks about her time in foster care and everything.
Holy moly.
So the son was older. He was probably 17 at this point, so I'm sure he just kind of went on his own. So over the next 7 years, So now we're in year 12 at this point. Her lawyers continued to work tirelessly.
Not the original lawyer, right?
No, this is the new law team who's been in charge of her appeals the whole time. And they continued to work tirelessly for her. Sonny asked them to hire a PI to find the woman who testified against her, because Sonny said, if you find her, and maybe, just maybe, she'll be able to say that she lied. Maybe she'll have it inside of her to tell the truth. This could get me out. So they eventually tracked the woman down, and she was living in Wyoming. She was clean, and she had no idea what ended up happening to Sonny, because at the time, she didn't know Sonny. She just knew the prosecutor said, say this and I'll drop your charges.
So she was just repeating whatever she had to say to get out of jail.
Yeah.
Which, a lot of people would do the same thing.
Well, when they told her about her testimony and the impact that it had on Sonny's life, this woman cried her eyes out. And she said, okay, I'll do anything I need to do to help her. But the woman was scared to death to come back to Florida, because that prosecutor, he's now the DA. He got a promotion and he won. He became the district attorney. And she was afraid that he would put her in jail for perjury, because it's making him look bad. And it makes total sense.
I hate the game.
The prosecutor found out that Sonny's lawyer was trying to come back to Florida and bring this lady. So the prosecutor actually sent someone to Wyoming to this woman's father, who was like on his deathbed and very sick, to tell him, tell your daughter, don't come back to Florida and do this, or else, we'll put her in jail. And that actually made the woman so angry that she decided, fuck it, I'm going.
Let's go.
So
That's right. You don't tell me what to do.
So this made the woman so angry. And she came back to Florida. So they had a federal hearing, and she told everything that happened.
Give them all the smoke.
She apologized to Sonny. She cried. And the prosecutor comes to the stand. This is insane, Russ. Are you ready? The prosecutor comes to the stand to cross-examine this lady. She grabbed her chest and started hyperventilating. She suffered a heart attack on the stand.
Oh, shit.
Right there. But she didn't die. She was rushed to the hospital, and she actually had a heart attack. Isn't that crazy?
This dude was intimidating, huh?
I guess. So she was sent back to Wyoming, and they agreed to do a video testimony at this point, so she didn't have to be put under the stress of being there. And, despite this woman being clean for over 10 years and everything she had to say, at the end of the day, the judge said it's a drug addict's word against a district attorney. So he sided with the district attorney.
No. But they sided with the drug addict the first time.
Exactly, but not this time.
So they're just using the narrative to win.
So Sonny lost her appeal. I know, this story.
But why did they take... Didn't anyone say, well, why would you take the drug addicts now?
No one said it because it's the judge's ruling.
No, but the first time, right now, there's no motive. What's her motivation right now to get this random lady out? Nothing, really. Like, you feel bad, whatever.
Yeah, you feel bad.
But the first time, there was motivation to lie.
I know.
There was a lot of motivation. This is common sense.
You're preaching to the choir. We all agree this is so fucked up, but I'm telling you, this is just the way the system is. Our criminal justice system is messed up. It is what it is.
It's full of corns.
It is.
That shouldn't have this much power.
Yep. You have literal power over people's lives. So Sonny lost her appeal. So now in 1981, this is the 15th year that they've been incarcerated. Jesse Tafero was executed. But this electric chair malfunctioned during the execution, and Jesse caught on fire, exactly like the movie The Green Mile. You remember The Green Mile?
Good movie.
So the sponge was incorrect. No one admitted to who changed the sponge, just like in The Green Mile. But it took him 13 and a half minutes to die after catching on fire. And this innocent man died, this horrific death. But after the execution of Jesse, it gained a ton of media attention. And it eventually led to the state of Florida abandoning electric chair altogether. And now, since the year 2000, they've only done executions by lethal injection because of this case of Jesse Tafero.
This is pissing me off.
This whole story pisses me off, I'm telling you.
Whoever was in charge of this, they all need to go to jail. And they shouldn't be allowed to breed either because they're
terrible people.
They're terrible people, and there shouldn't be more terrible people like them.
So now, just after Jesse's execution, this is her husband. She's devastated. Then she hears about what happened during the execution, which devastated her even more. She hadn't seen him in years. She said that she used to paint him pictures, and she would mail him these pictures, and that's how they communicated, through letters and pictures. But this devastated her, and a good childhood friend of hers came to visit her in jail. And this childhood friend, actually, as an adult now, was a documentary filmmaker. And she believed in Sonny's innocence, like everybody else who knew Sonny. And she said she wanted to help, in any way possible. So her friend and her friend's partner went and worked with the law team so they could help Sonny prepare her habeas corpus. So a habeas corpus, I don't know if you know what that is.
I always know what those big words are.
What is it?
They're going to prepare something to get her out.
So in our Constitution, like in simple terms, a habeas corpus hearing is when it's an order that you bring a jailed person before a judge so that they can find out if that person should really be in jail. So it's like an appeal, but it's like the last step of the appeals process.
It's like Moses in the Ten Commandments, but when he went in front of Ramsey and he said he went there and he said, "Let my people go."
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, that's like one of those weird Bible movies I watched when I was a kid.
But
had Charlton Heston, it wasn't that bad.
No, that was a good movie. I know what you're talking about. So they prepared her habeas corpus. But even after this, they didn't want to admit they were wrong. Even after all her lawyers proved everything. So even though her conviction was overturned, they threatened to retry her. They told her she can take a plea, say she was innocent, but someone needed to pay for this crime. So that means she would have to admit Jesse, her husband, was guilty. And although Sonny was facing freedom, she said no. She said in an interview that her integrity and her character is literally all she had left, and she was not about to throw her husband under the bus and claim that it was him, even though he was dead, even though he got executed. She couldn't live with herself if she actually said that he was guilty. So she wouldn't do it.
Sonny's the best person of all time.
She is. She loved her husband so much, and she said, my integrity is all I have. I'm not turning my back on him. Eventually, after fighting and fighting and fighting, Sonny agreed to submit an Alford plea. So an Alford plea is incredibly rare, and it's actually really interesting and weird, in my opinion, in our legal system. And it's an instance where a defendant can plead guilty for the record. So, like, for the record,
I'm doing this to get out of here.
So pretty much an Alford plea it's like a word play. You say, okay, I'm innocent, but the prosecution has enough to convict me, but I'm actually innocent.
So I know what it's like. It's like in the cartoons when you tell a kid, when you say something, you don't really mean it, and you have your fingers crossed behind your back.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're like, all right, go up there, say you did it, but put your fingers crossed behind your back and say it.
Kind of. They're like, you say, I'm innocent, but if they wanted to put me away, they can. That's what an Alford plea is. It's all word play. The West Memphis 3, they got off on an Alford plea. It's very rare. It's big in high profile cases, but like she ended up getting offered the Alford plea and she took it. And after 16 years, she was free. So her story doesn't stop there. She reconnected with her children, and now at this point she has grandchildren.
Wow.
When she was released, she was, I think, 47 years old or 42 years old. She was in her 40s.
So she still had some life left.
Yeah. And she didn't know what to do with her life. She'd been in jail since she was 27. And before that, she was a stay-at-home mom with her son and her daughter. So she began teaching yoga and meditation because she said, it's literally all that kept me alive, kept me sane. And it's all that I could do to survive in jail. And I want to teach people this to help them through the hard times in their life. And while she was in prison in Gen Pop, she taught the inmates yoga and meditation there too. So naturally, she gets released and she decides to become a yoga teacher. And then she eventually starts working with exonerees through innocence projects. And this led her on a speaking tour to tell her story. And she went to Ireland to speak at Amnesty International at one of their events in 1998. And while she was there speaking, there was a man in the audience who really wanted to get to know her, and his name was Peter Pringle. Isn't that a cute name, Peter Pringle?
So funny, because right now I was just looking up what she looks like, and then it showed me pictures of Peter Pringle and Sonny Jacobs, and I was like, who's this Santa Claus looking dude?
Oh, well, Peter Pringle, he saw her in the audience, and he himself was an exoneree. He was falsely imprisoned, and he was on death row for like 16 years. And after she had this speaking event, he wanted to take her out to dinner because he wanted to get to know her better, and they exchanged stories, and they both had the same thing in common, where yoga and meditation is what got them through their time on death row. So they pretty much immediately fell in love, and Sonny moved to Ireland, and they opened up a place called the Sonny Center in Ireland. And it's a place where they invite exonerees after they get out of after they get out of jail, after being exonerated. You can go there. It's like a retreat. They give you therapy. They teach you yoga, meditation. It's kind of like a place to like regroup before you enter the world.
I might have called it like Sunny Days Ahead.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I'm good at branding stuff.
Well, it's called the Sonny Center, and it's beautiful, the stuff that they do there. And it's like located in this home on like the Irish countryside. It's very peaceful, and it's like a nice place for these exonerees to go and kind of get their mind together before they enter the world. And you can look them up. They're online. You can look up thesunnycenter.org. You can donate to them because they're a nonprofit organization. You can donate to them. And she's still to this day doing this beautiful work for these people. And now at this point, I think she's probably 60 or 70. And her husband are just like trying to live their best life out in Ireland.
Good for them, man. After like going through a situation like that, and you find someone to like that can actually relate to what you went through, because whenever someone tells you like, oh, like you tell them your problems, I understand. No one understands what you're actually going through.
Yeah, it's true. And he really did. He completely understood. He went through the exact same thing.
What do you know what he was falsely convicted for?
He was falsely convicted for killing cops.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? It's like fate almost, honestly.
I can't believe you didn't tell me a little bit of his story, just like a very brief one.
So I don't know much of his story. I should have looked into it more, but I do know that Peter Pringle was with two other guys. There were three of them. They were out drinking, and then after drinking one night, they get into an altercation with cops. These two cops die, I think, and then he ended up going to jail for it.
Crazy, man.
And he wasn't involved in the killing of these cops at all, but anyway, it was...
I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
And I guess him too, if he didn't do it. I'm happy they found each other, and they both look like Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. If you
They're
look up
so
their picture,
cute.
like if they dressed up in the mall, you would sit on their lap and tell them you've been a good boy and what you want for Christmas.
They are really cute. And like I said, I'm going to post her TED Talk that she gave, because it just talks about how she made it through and how she kept her mind right through all of this. And it's just shocking that someone could deal, I mean, literally like everything she went through. Going to jail, her parents dying in a plane crash, no one believing her, everyone failing her, her husband dying in a horrible, botched execution. I mean, like everything that can go wrong literally went wrong. And she still maintained her sanity and is like the sweetest lady. She's so sweet. So if you want to check out her episode on wrongful conviction, or any of the episodes, this isn't an advertisement. I just love his podcast. Go to Wrongful Conviction with Jason Flom. It's on wherever you get podcasts. And then...
shout out to Jason Flom. Your desserts are great.
You're an idiot.
Who doesn't like flan?
Anyway, so...
If you don't have flan, you might live like in other areas where there's not like a lot of Puerto Rican and Dominican people. In the Bronx, we have a lot of them. So there's a lot of these cuchifritos, we call them. And they're really good. If you're in the Bronx, go to Bree's House on Castle Hill Avenue. It's really good.
It is really good.
No advertisements, but I love those old Dominican ladies with the big butts. When I come in, they're like, hey, Poppy. I love them.
They do. They love him. They're like, oh, his blue eyes. They love your blue eyes.
Yeah. They sure do.
And he has no idea what they're saying because they don't speak any English, and he just...
No, they love me.
He tries to order with his best English/Spanish accent on the food. Anyway, so that's our story this week. So even though it was a horrible story, it's also inspiring. And those are my favorite.
I guess the moral of the story, as Jess puts in all the podcasts, is never give up.
Never give up. 100%.
And we call this one Sunny Days Ahead.
Oh, that's a sweet title.
Or we
Sunny Days Ahead.
or we could say, Flong is delicious.
All right. Well, check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod, on Facebook at Wife of Crime Crime Family, and patreon.com/Wife of Crime Pod. And we'll be coming at you in 2 weeks with another episode. And we also are going to be doing a listener episode soon. So send over your listener stories. I have a whole vault at this point of tons of them.
Yes, but don't think because there is a vault, you won't hear yours if you send it soon. Because if yours is better than a Womp Womp story we got, we bump the Womp Womps down and put the stories that are aight up to the top.
They've all been good.
They all been aight?
Yes, they've all been good.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how have they been?
They've been aight. Seriously, I've gotten nothing but really interesting listener stories. So if you have a good one, true crime, paranormal, or whatever you want to tell us, go send us an email at wifeofcrimepod@gmail.com.
Some have been pretty crazy. It's crazy the things people have been through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if this is your first time here, go back to some listener stories. It's not what we normally do, but we do them occasionally.
Yeah, it's very interesting to hear your guys' perspective on things. So.
And if you want to tell me some dumb ghost stories, tell me those too, and I'll just think you're a fool.
No.
You can't tell me what I'll think about them.
Anyway, well, have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Peace.